Hello everyone and welcome you all in the problem solving class of the course Principles of Signals and System. I am Vivek Kumar Srivastava, a PMRF research scholar of Antenna and Microwave Research Laboratory, Indian Institute of Technology, Roper, and TO of this course. So in the previous class we have covered various topics such as numericals based on the jet transform, and then we have seen the Fourier series representation of any continuous time signal. Okay, there we have seen that why Fourier series is necessary, how to determine Fourier series of any continuous time signal. Then we also seen the inverse problem, okay, where Fourier series coefficient is given to us, and then how to determine the signal that basically give us the Fourier series coefficient that we have covered in the previous class. So the topic of the today's class is to uh, solve some numericals based on the Fourier series first of all, and then uh, we will jump to Fourier transform. Okay, there we will see that why Fourier transform is needed, and how to evaluate Fourier transform of any uh, uh, signal that is non-periodic, or it can be a periodic but mostly non-periodic signal. Okay, and also we will solve some numericals based on that topic. Okay, so let us start. So here is the first problem. So here we have to find out the Fourier series coefficient of x of t. Okay, so x of t is given to us, that is 1 plus sine of omega naught t plus 2 cos of omega naught t plus cos of 2 omega naught t plus pi by 4. Okay, so first of all, as we know that to evaluate the Fourier series coefficient, okay, so we can use this formula, that is uh, 1 over t integral 0 to t x of t into e raised to the power minus j omega naught t dot dt. Okay, so by using this we can easily evaluate the Fourier series coefficient. However, for this problem we can easily evaluate the Fourier series coefficient because we already know that how to represent the sine of omega naught t cos of omega naught t uh, in terms of complex exponentials. Okay, so instead of using this difficult method we will use a simple method. Okay, so for evaluating this Fourier series coefficient in this method, what we will do, we will use this, that is sine of omega naught t is equals to e raised to the power j omega naught t minus e raised to the power minus j omega naught t over 2j, and cos of omega naught t is equals to e raised to the power j omega naught t plus e raised to the power minus j omega naught t by 2. Okay, by using this representation we can easily evaluate the Fourier series coefficient of this problem. So let us now solve this problem. So x of t is basically represented as 1 plus sine of omega naught t we can replace by this exponential term, that is e raised to the power j omega naught t minus e raised to the power minus j omega naught t by 2j, then plus 2. Okay, and now we can replace this cos of omega naught t, so this will be equals to e raised to the power j omega naught t plus e raised to the power minus j omega naught t by 2. Okay, and now we can write the third term. Okay, so this basically represents the phase term, so we can also represent this as e raised to the power j pi by 4 into cos of 2 omega naught t. So this can be written as e raised to the power j 2 omega naught t plus e raised to the power minus j omega naught t. Yeah, this will be equals to 2. Let me erase this. Yeah, j 2 omega naught t by 2. So now we can rearrange these terms. Okay, so this will be equals to 1, and now we can take e raised to the power j omega naught t as a common. Okay, so from here we will get this factor, that is 1 over 2j, and for this will be equals to 1. Okay, then now e raised to the power minus j omega naught t, and then here we can take factor 1 from this term, and for this term this will be equals to minus 1 by 2j. Okay, so now for this term what we will do, we can take this factor, that is e raised to the power j pi by 4 by 2 into e raised to the power j 2 omega naught t plus e raised to the power j pi by 4 by 2 into e raised to the power minus j 2 omega naught t. Okay, so now we can compare this x of t with uh, yeah, that is summation n is equals to minus infinite to infinite a n e raised to the power j omega naught, sorry, j n omega naught t. Okay, that is basically representing the complex exponential Fourier series. Okay, so now by comparing these two, we can say that when n is equals to 0, okay, so this represents factor, or say Fourier series coefficient a of 0, which will be equals to 1 here. Okay, so now when n is equals to 1, okay, so in this case the factor will be equals to a1, which is nothing but 1 plus 1 over 2j. Okay, and similarly when n is equals to minus 1, then a of minus 1 will be equals to this term. Okay, that is 1 minus 1 over 2j. So now when n is equals to 2, so in this case a of 2 basically represented by this term. Okay, so here the Fourier series coefficient corresponding to n is equals to 2 will be e raised to the power j pi by 4 by 2, whereas for n is equals to minus 2 the factor is represented as e raised to the power j pi by 4 by 2. Okay, so that is how we can easily calculate the Fourier series coefficient instead of just using this formula. Okay, so by using this simple method we can easily evaluate the Fourier series coefficient. Okay, so yeah, this is the solution. So let us now move ahead to the next problem. Okay, so here we have to basically prove that the Fourier series representation of a periodic signal with a half wave symmetry has no even order harmonics. Okay, so before moving ahead in this problem, we have to first know that what is basically the half wave symmetry. Okay, so half wave symmetry is basically represented as if we have a periodic signal, first of all. Okay, so if suppose we have a periodic signal, so this periodic signal is basically having some period, that is capital T naught. Okay, so we can easily divide this overall time period into two halves. Okay, so if these two halves are identical in shape, and the one half is basically the negation of the other, then we can say that the signal is having half wave symmetry. Okay, so like for example sine signal. Okay, so this sine signal is a best example of half wave symmetry. Okay, so like here so this is having a period of capital T. Okay, this is having a period of capital T. Okay, so if we basically shift this signal, that is x of t, by a period of t naught by 2 to the right shift. Okay, so for this you will get this signal as this one. Okay, so here this will be t naught by 2, and this is basically, let me remove this. Okay, so basically you will get this kind of signal. Okay, once you shift this x of t to t naught by 2 towards the right side. Okay, so now once you take negation of this signal, that is shifted signal, so you will get the same signal, that is x of t. Okay, so I am taking the negation of this signal, so I am getting the same signal, that is minus x of t minus t naught by 2. Okay, so this represents that this signal is nothing but x of t. Okay, so this is basically a half wave symmetric signal. So mathematically we can represent the half wave symmetric signal by this term, that is x of t minus t naught by 2 is equals to minus x of t. Okay, if a signal satisfying this condition, then we can say that the signal is nothing but having a half wave symmetricity. Okay, so this is basically a half wave symmetric signal. Okay, so now we have to move ahead and uh, prove that basically a half wave symmetric signal is not having any uh, even order harmonics. Okay, that we have to prove basically here. So let us uh, try to solve this problem. So as we know that for a complex exponential signal, the Fourier series coefficient is defined as an is equals to 1 over t naught integral 0 to t naught x of t into e raised to the power minus j n omega naught t dot dt. Okay, so let me first categorize this signal. X of t is basically defined as x of t when t is varying from 0 to t naught by 2, and this will be equal to minus x of t when t is varying from t naught by 2 to t naught. Okay, so now we can calculate the exponential Fourier series coefficient. So this will be equals to 1 over t naught. This limit we can basically divide into two parts, that is 0 to t naught by 2 x of t into e raised to the power minus j n omega naught t dot dt plus integral t naught by 2 to t naught x of t into e raised to the power minus j n omega naught t dot dt. Okay, so now as we know that this signal is having half wave symmetricity, so we can say that for period t naught by 2 to t naught, this basically satisfying this condition. Okay, this for this period, that is t naught by 2 to t naught, the signal x of t basically satisfying this condition. Okay, so we can put x of t as minus x of t minus t naught by 2 here. Okay, so let me put this in the equation, that is 0 to t naught by 2. This will remains the same, that is x of t e raised to the power minus j n omega naught t dot dt plus integral t naught by 2 to t naught minus x of t minus t naught by 2 into e raised to the power minus j n omega naught t dot dt. So now from our previous class, as we know that if this is the signal, that is x of t minus t naught by 2, so this basically we can written as e raised to the power minus j n omega naught t naught by 2 into x of t. Okay, so this basically comes from time shifting property. This comes from time shifting property. Okay, so I am replacing this uh, time shifting property. So by using this time shifting property, we can easily return a of n as 1 over t naught integral 0 to t naught by 2 x of t into e raised to the power minus j n omega naught t plus integral, yeah, e raised to the power minus j n omega naught t naught by 2 2 in 0 to t naught by 2 x of t into e raised to the power minus j n omega naught t dot dt. Okay, so now from this equation we can take this term as a common. Okay, so once you take this term as a common, so you will get 1 over t naught in bracket 1 minus e raised to the power minus j n omega naught t naught by 2 into this factor, that is 0 to t naught by 2 x of t e raised to the power minus j n omega naught t dot dt. Okay, so now as we know that omega naught into t naught is basically equals to 2 pi. Okay, so this we can replace here. Okay, in this equation, so this will be equals to 1 over t naught 1 minus e raised to the power minus j n pi. Okay, into integral 0 to t naught by 2 x of t e raised to the power minus j n omega naught t dot dt. Okay, so now we can represent this as, from the mathematics identity, we can represent this term as minus 1 raised to the power n. Okay, and this will be equals to integral x of t e raised to the power minus j n omega naught t dot dt. So now when n is an even number, okay, so in this case a of n will be equals to 0, because when once n will be an even number, so let us suppose it is n is equals to 2. So in this case 1 minus 1 will be equals to 0, so the whole coefficient will be equals to 0 only. And when n is equals to odd number, okay, so this will be nothing but a n is equals to 2 by t naught integral 0 to t naught by 2 x of t into e raised to the power minus j n omega naught t dot dt. Okay, so this represents that uh, for a half wave symmetric signal, it does not have any even component of Fourier series coefficient. Okay, so that is how we can evaluate. So now moving to the next problem. Okay, so yeah, so before moving to the next problem, let us take one important property, that is the symmetry condition in a trigonometric Fourier series. Okay, so as we know from our previous class that x for trigonometric Fourier series, x of t is represented as a naught by 2 plus summation n is equals to 1 to infinite a n cos of n omega naught t plus b n sine of n omega naught t. Okay, so here a naught is the average term. Okay, and an and bn basically depends. Okay, so this a naught by 2 basically we can calculate as 1 over t naught integral 0 to t naught x of t dot dt. Okay, so this represent basically the mean value or average value. Okay, and a naught we can evaluate as 2 by t naught integral 0 to t naught x of t cos of n omega naught t dot dt, whereas bn, sorry, this will be n, bn can be calculated as 2 by t naught integral 0 to t naught x of t sine of n omega naught t dot dt. Okay, so that is how we can represent any signal into trigonometric Fourier series. Okay, once we evaluate this coefficients. Okay, but if suppose this signal that is given to us having some symmetricity, that is whether it is a even periodic signal or odd periodic signal, then it will be very easy for us if we apply this symmetricity condition. Okay, so if suppose the signal is having even periodic signal, okay, it means that x of minus t basically equals to x of t. Okay, if this signal is basically satisfying this condition, so in this case basically b of n will be 0, because b of n in this case, if suppose this is an even signal and this is sine of n omega naught t is basically odd signal. Okay, so this is even signal and this is odd signal, so multiplication of these two is basically odd signal. Okay, and for odd signal, if you integrate the odd signal over its time period, so the integration will be equals to 0. So that's why for an even periodic signal, this b of n will be equals to 0. So we have to only evaluate a naught and an for even periodic signal, whereas for odd periodic signal, this a naught and an term will be 0. Okay, because a x of t is odd signal, so if you integrate this x of t over its time period, then it will result into 0. Similarly, if a of n you evaluate, so this is basically odd signal and this is even signal. Okay, so this basically result into odd signal. Okay, and once you evaluate the integration of this odd signal over its time period, so this will results to 0. So that's why for an odd periodic signal we have to just evaluate the b of n. Okay, so we will use this symmetricity condition so as to easily evaluate or say easily represent any symmetric signal into its corresponding trigonometric Fourier series coefficient by using these conditions. Okay, so the crux of this symmetricity condition is that for every even signal, b of n will be equals to 0. Hence, the Fourier series of an even signal contains only DC term and cosine terms only, whereas Fourier series of an odd signal contain only the sine terms. Okay, so this is basically the outcome of this slide. So now let us apply this concept so as to evaluate the Fourier series or say Fourier series representation of this signal. So here is the problem. If the input to the half wave rectifier is an AC signal, okay, which is represented as cos x of t is equals to cos of 2 pi t. So find the trigonometric Fourier series representation of the output signal of half wave rectifier. Okay, so here is suppose the input signal x of t, okay, which is nothing but cos of 2 pi t. Okay, so now we are applying this input signal to a rectifier. Okay, so we are basically applying this x of t to a rectifier, and whatever output we are getting, so we have to represent this output into corresponding trigonometric Fourier series. Okay, so as we know that once we apply this x of t to the rectifier, so it basically chops the lower half portion, okay, which is below the 0. okay, it will chop this portion, okay, and it will passes only the positive half cycle. The negative half cycle of this uh, cos of 2 pi t is basically chopped by the rectifier. Okay, so the net signal that you are getting is this one. Okay, so now we have to basically represent the Fourier series representation of this signal. Okay, and so let us now represent this let us now represent the trigonometric Fourier series uh, representation of this signal, that is y of t. So before that, let us check whether this signal is satisfying the even or odd symmetricity or not. Okay, so this is basically the zero time zero. Okay, so we have to check whether the output signal is symmetric uh, at t is equals to 0 or not. Okay, so if the positive half of signal, that is x of, let us say x of minus t is equals to x of t, if signal is satisfying this condition, okay, so this we know, then we can say that it is an even signal. Okay, so as let us suppose the positive half cycle, okay, where t is greater than 0. Okay, so if uh, we make t as a negative, okay, so here is the t negative. Okay, and from here we can see that the x of minus t is basically equals to x of t. Okay, and hence we can say that it is having the even symmetry. Okay, so for even symmetry we can say that b of n will be 0, and we have now only evaluate a naught and an term, that is coefficient a naught and an. So if we can evaluate this term, then we can easily represent this output signal y of t in terms of trigonometric Fourier series representation. Okay, so let us see. So before moving ahead, we have to first check the total time period. Okay, so that we can see from here. So let us suppose this signal is having symmetry, so this signal is basically having symmetry uh, and having a period defined from minus zero point 0.5 to zero point 0.5. Okay, so that's why t naught, that is the total time period of this signal, is 1. Okay, so this is basically 1. So that we are evaluating just because it is uh, it comes under the formula of a naught and an. Okay, so a naught, as we know, represented as 1 over t naught integral 0 to t naught x of t dot dt. Okay, so now we can put the value of t naught 1 here, so this will be 1 by 1. And now for this time period from zero point 0.5 to for minus 0.5 to minus 0.25, the value of this signal is 0. And from 0.25 to 0.25, okay, minus 0.25 to 0.25, the signal is nothing but cos of 2 pi t. And for the next uh, 0.25, okay, the value of signal will be 0. Okay, so that's why here I am considering the period from minus 0.25 to 0.25. Okay, so once you evaluate the integral a naught and a n here, okay, so I am leaving this uh, integration uh, over you, so you can evaluate it later. So once you evaluate this a naught and a n, so you can easily uh, yeah, so you can, once you evaluate a naught and a n, so you can put the value of a naught and a n here, so as to represent the signal in terms of trigonometric Fourier series representation. Okay, you have to just put the value of a naught and a n here. Okay, so you can easily get the trigonometric Fourier series representation. So now moving ahead, here is the next problem. So problem states that consider a periodic signal x of t given by x of t is equals to 2 plus j2 e raised to the power minus j 3t minus j3 e raised to the power minus j2t plus 6 plus j3 e raised to the power j2t plus 2 minus j2 e raised to the power j3t. So corresponding to this signal x of t, we have to determine the fundamental period and the frequency of x of t. Okay, the second sub problem of this question is we have to show whether x of t is a real signal or not, and the third problem is we have to evaluate the average power contained in the signal. Okay, so uh, yeah, we can approach to this problem as as we know that x of Fourier series representation of x of t corres- corresponding to complex exponential Fourier series, we can represent it as summation n is equals to minus infinite to infinite a of n e raised to the power j n omega naught t. Okay, so for uh, as it is mentioned in the problem, that is x of t is given as this. Okay, so we can easily compare this x of t with the corresponding uh, complex exponential Fourier series, okay, which is nothing but this one. Okay, so once you compare this, so this you can also write it as a of minus 3 e raised to the power j 3 omega naught t plus a of minus 2 e raised to the power minus j 2 omega naught t, and yeah, this will be and dot dot, there are some other terms which will be less than minus 3, and this will be equals to a of minus 1 e raised to the power minus j omega naught t plus a naught plus a of 1 e raised to the power j omega naught t plus a2 e raised to the power j2 omega naught t plus a3 e raised to the power j3 omega naught t, and so on. Okay, so you can easily compare these x of t. Okay, so the coefficients we can get it as a of minus 3 is equals to 2 plus j2. Okay, a of minus 2 is equals to minus j3. Okay, a of minus 1 will be 0 here. Okay, a naught will be equals to 6, a of 2 will be equals to j3, a of 3 will be equals to 2 minus j2. Yeah, okay, so once you evaluate the Fourier series coefficient of this signal x of t, let us now come to the omega naught, that is frequency. Okay, so once you see here and compare the omega naught, so the omega value of omega naught will be equals to 1 here. Okay, so like for every complex exponentials you can compare. Okay, so like here uh, for n is equals to minus 3. Okay, so once you compare you will get that omega, the value of omega naught is 1 here. Okay, so once you know the value of omega naught, so the value of t naught is nothing but 2 pi by omega naught, and the value of t naught will be 2 pi. Okay, so the first problem is completed. So now moving to the next problem, that is we have to show whether x of t is a real signal or not. Okay, so as we know, for a real signal, that we have seen in the our previous class, that for a real signal a of n is nothing but a of minus n conjugate. Okay, if the Fourier series coefficients are basically satisfying this condition, then we can say that the signal is nothing but a real signal. Okay, so let us now check this condition whether the Fourier series coefficients are satisfying this condition or not. So like a of 3. Okay, so this is nothing but 2 minus j2. Okay, whereas a of minus 3, that we have calculated it as 2 plus j2. Okay, so once you take the uh, conjugate of a of minus 3, so you will get 2 minus j2. Okay, it means that this condition is satisfied. Similarly, you can check for a of 2, which is equals to minus j3, and a of minus 2, which is equals to j3. Okay, so once you take the conjugate of this, so this will be equals to minus j3. Okay, it means this coefficient is also satisfying the this condition. Okay, that is a of n is equals to a of minus n conjugate. It means that the signal that is given to us, it is basically a real signal. Okay, so we can say that the signal x of t that is given to us is a real signal. So now moving to the third problem, that we have to determine the average power that is contained in the signal. Okay, so as we know from Parseval's relation, Parseval theorem. Okay, so from Parseval theorem we know that average power contained in the signal is nothing but equals to, from n is equals to minus infinite to infinite, mod of a of n square. Okay, so either you can take this method so as to calculate the average power contained in the signal, or you can first calculate the Fourier series coefficient, and now you can use this relation. Okay, so as to find the uh, average power contained in the signal. So we will use this method. Okay, because this Fourier series coefficient is known to us. Okay, so basically this average power will be equals to a of minus 3 mod square plus a of minus 2 mod square plus a of 0 mod square, a of 2 mod square, a of 3 mod square. Okay, so you can take the magnitude, and once you put, you can easily determine the average power contained in the signal. Okay, so here, like, already evaluated this average power for you. Okay, so once you evaluate, you will get the average power contained in this uh, signal is 70 watt. Okay, so now moving to the next problem. So so now here in this problem we have to check the which of the following signals basically we cannot represent in terms of Fourier series. Okay, so here 5 signals is basically given to us, and we have to check that which of these signals are not represented by corresponding Fourier series. Okay, so as we all know that basically Fourier series representation is only for continuous time periodic signal. Okay, so if a signal x of t is given to us, and if it is a periodic signal, then only we can evaluate its corresponding Fourier series representation. Okay, and if the signal is non-periodic, then we cannot represent the signal in terms of Fourier series. Okay,
Sir, in this case, the only non-periodic is 5. I understand. Am I correct?
sorry, can you please repeat?
Yeah, in this example, the only non-periodic signal is 5. Xt is equal to e to the power of minus mod t sine 5 pi t.
Yeah, this signal is non-periodic, but apart from this, we have to check that which signals are not satisfying this periodicity. Okay, so we will check, like,
O- Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So like, here is the first problem, that is x of t is equals to 4 cos of t plus 6 cos of t. Okay, so for these two signal, this contains the same uh, frequency signal, that is omega naught is equals to 1 here. Okay, so for these two signals, which is nothing but uh, uh, addition of these two different signals, okay, which are having the same phase, okay, only the amplitudes are different, so we can represent this signal x of t as 10 cos of t. Okay, so this is basically a periodic signal, so we can represent this signal to the corresponding Fourier series. Okay, whereas for the second signal that is given to us, x of t, that is 3 cos of pi t plus 6 cos of t. Okay, so for this signal, if we calculate the corresponding time period, so for this signal, 3 cos of pi t, the time period t naught is equals to 2 pi by omega naught, which is equals to 2 pi by pi, and this is equals to 2. Whereas for this signal, time period t2 is defined as 2 pi by omega naught, and this will be equals to 2 pi by 1, which is equals to 2 pi. So now, as we know that if we have a signal x of t, which is a combination of two different periodic signals, so this signal x of t is a periodic signal when the ratio of this t1 and t2 is a rational number. So if this condition is satisfied, then only we can say that x of t is a periodic signal. Okay, so so we have seen some of the numericals from our previous classes, that how to determine periodicity. So if you haven't seen my previous lecture, so I urge you to go and watch them. Okay, so like for this signal, okay, once you evaluate t1 by t2, then this will be equals to 2 by 2 pi, which is an irrational number. Okay, so we can say like x of t is a non-periodic signal, hence we cannot determine the Fourier series corresponding to this signal x of t. Okay, so we cannot determine Fourier series corresponding to this signal, whereas for this signal we can write the Fourier series. Okay, similarly for this signal x of t, this is nothing but addition of a periodic signal with a constant, so this is also a periodic signal, hence we can say that we can represent x of t in terms of Fourier series. Okay, similarly you can check the periodicity of this signal. Okay, and check whether the signal x of t is periodic or not. So for this signal, once you check t1 by t2, so this will be equals to 7 pi by 3 pi, so this will be a rational number. Okay, so even for this signal we can represent the Fourier series. Okay, but for this signal, okay, if you plot the signal, the fifth one, okay, so once you plot the signal, you will get this kind of signal. Okay, so like, this kind of signal which is decaying in nature. Okay, which is decaying in nature. So this represent that this signal is not a periodic signal. Hence, we cannot determine the Fourier series corresponding to this signal, that is e raised to the power mod of t sine of 5 pi t. Okay, so that is how we can check whether we can determine Fourier series corresponding to a signal or not. So here is the next problem. So here we have to check basically whether Dirichlet conditions are satisfying or not. So as we know from our previous class that uh, to represent any signal x of t, okay, into a corresponding Fourier series, we have there are some condition that the signal must satisfying. So those condition are nothing but Dirichlet condition. Okay, so for Dirichlet condition, it says that the first point is the signal must be absolutely integrable over its time period. Okay, the second condition states that the signal must have finite maxima and minima over its time period. The third condition states that the signal must have finite number of discontinuities over its time period. Okay, so if these conditions are satisfying, then we can say that this signal that is given to us, we can easily represent the corresponding Fourier series. And if one of the condition are not satisfying, then we cannot basically represent the corresponding Fourier series. Okay, but these condition are basically sufficient condition, these are not necessary condition. So for some signals Fourier series exist, but even these conditions are not satisfying. Okay, so that's why these conditions are uh, these conditions are sufficient conditions and not necessary conditions. So for this condition we have to check that these signals that is given to us, so which of them are satisfying these Dirichlet conditions. Okay, so for h of t, which is given to us tan of pi t. Okay, so we have to check that whether this h of t is satisfying Dirichlet condition or not. Okay, so once you plot this h of t, okay, so I've plotted this signal h of t for you. So like you can see here that it is periodic in nature. Okay, so the time period of this signal, that is tan of pi t, is 1 year. Okay, but the thing is, once you evaluate uh, the once you check whether the signal is integrable over its time period or not, so you will get that, like here you can see I am integrating the signal x of t over its time period. Okay, so once you integrate this signal x of t over its time period, you will get infinity. Okay, it means that it is not bounded anymore. Okay, this signal is not bounded anymore. So that's why it basically violates condition 1, that is it must be absolutely integrable. Okay, but for this signal we can see that this is not absolutely integrable, so that's why it violates condition 1. Okay, however it have finite number of maximum and minima, like here one minima and one maxima, and so that's why it's satisfying condition 2. But for the condition 3, which says that it have one discontinuity, sorry, it must have a finite number of discontinuity over its time period. So like here if you can see, it has two discontinuities. Okay, but the thing is that it have the value infinity. Okay, means at the discontinuity the value is infinity. So we can it also basically violates this condition 3. Okay, so that's why it violates condition 1 and condition 3. That's why this Dirichlet condition is not satisfying by this h of t. Okay, similarly we can find the Dirichlet condition. We can check the Dirichlet condition corresponding to this signal g of t, which is sine of 0 0.5 by t. Okay, so it is given in the question itself that it has a time period from 0 to 1. Okay, time period is nothing but 1 here. Okay, so like here, by this relation you can also see, okay, it is a periodic signal, means we can basically represent this signal in terms of Fourier series. But before that we have to check whether this g of t is satisfying the Dirichlet condition or not. Okay, so yeah, so basically if you plot this signal, that is sine of 0 0.5 by t, okay, so its value is nothing but varying from -1 to 1. Okay, it means that it is a bounded signal. Okay, once you integrate this signal, you will get a finite value. So that's why it's satisfying basically the condition 1. But it basically violates the condition 2 because it has infinity number of minima and maxima, okay, over its time period. So like here, if you can see that at t is equals to 0, okay, so the signal is g of t is equals to sine of 0 0.5 pi by 0, which is sine of infinity. So at infinity we cannot predict that what will be the value of gt. It varies from -1 to 1, but we cannot predict that what will be the exact value of gt at infinity. Okay, so that's why it can be anything from -1 to 1. Okay, similarly if you go for t is equals to 0 plus, okay, then also you will get the same thing. Okay, you cannot predict the value. Okay, so that's why here uh, a lot of minima and maxima occurs within its time period, so that's why it violates condition 2. Okay, similarly uh, yeah, it must have finite number of discontinuities. Okay, so like here, uh, I think this I have written uh, incorrect. Okay, so basically here lot of discontinuities are there, so it violates condition 3 as well. So that's why only condition 1 is satisfying and the condition 2 and condition 3 are violate here. Okay, so that is how you can check whether it's how to determine uh, uh, whether a signal is basically satisfying the Dirichlet condition or not. Okay, so moving to the next topic, that is Fourier transform. Okay, so let us first see that why to study this, what is the need behind study this Fourier transform. So as we know that Fourier series is basically used so as to represent the or say analyze the uh, response of a continuous time signal which is periodic in nature. Okay, so we cannot use the Fourier series representation for aperiodic signal. Okay, so to analyze any aperiodic signal along with a periodic signal, we will use Fourier transform method. So this Fourier transform method is nothing but we can use for continuous time, but along with a periodic signal we can also use this Fourier transform for aperiodic signals. Okay, so that is why we are using this Fourier transform method. So basically it is an alternative way to analyze any continuous time signal which is aperiodic in nature. Okay, so for that purpose, for analyzing any signal which is aperiodic or periodic in nature, we will basically represent this signal into corresponding frequency domain. Okay, we will transform the signal into corresponding frequency domain and then we will analyze it. Okay, so that's why this Fourier transform is important. Okay, so now moving to the next problem, if suppose x of t is given to us, then how to evaluate the Fourier transform of this signal? Okay, so so for evaluating the Fourier transform of x of t, we will use this relation, that is x of omega is equals to minus infinite to infinite x of t into e raised to the power minus j omega t dot dt. Okay, so even by this relation you can see that what we are doing here, we are basically transforming the time domain signal into corresponding frequency domain signal, and then we are analyzing it. Okay, so this Fourier transform is basically enables us so as to transform a time domain signal into corresponding frequency domain signal. Okay, so we can also synthesize a signal, okay, by using this inverse problem, that is if suppose x of omega is given to us, that is frequency domain signal is given to us. So by using this relationship we can easily evaluate the corresponding time domain signal. Okay, so by using this, oh sorry, this will be multiplication not equals to. Okay, so by using this uh, we can easily evaluate the corresponding time domain signal from its frequency domain. Okay, so I hope this Fourier transform is clear to you. So yeah, so moving to the next problem, that is determine the continuous time Fourier transform of the following function and plot the corresponding magnitude and phase spectra. Okay, so x of t is basically given to us, and now in the question it is saying that we have to determine the Fourier transform corresponding to this signal, and we have to also plot the magnitude and phase spectra of this Fourier transform. Okay, so for evaluating the Fourier transform we will use this relation, that is x of omega is equals to minus infinite to infinite x of t into e raised to the power, yeah, minus j omega t dot dt. uh, Let me check. Okay, yeah, so we will use this formula so as to evaluate the uh, for corresponding Fourier transform. Okay, so here this signal e raised to the power minus at into ut is given. So the limit of integration will change from 0 to infinity e raised to the power minus at into e raised to the power minus j omega t dot dt. So now we can further written it as e raised to the power a plus j omega t into d omega dt. Okay, so now you can evaluate the integral. So this will be equals to a plus j omega over minus a plus j omega, and the limit is varying from 0 to infinity. Okay, so a plus j omega, and this will be equals to e raised to the power minus, yeah, here t will be there, e raised to the power minus a plus j omega infinity minus e raised to the power, this will be 0, so the value of this is equal to 1. So this we can also written it as a plus j omega into e raised to the power minus a into infinity, which is nothing but e raised to the power minus infinity into e raised to the power minus j omega into infinity minus 1. Okay, so the value of e raised to the power minus infinity will be equals to 0. However, this we cannot predict. Okay, because this is a complex exponential signal. Okay, and at infinity its value varying from -1 to 1, -1 to 1, but it can be anything. Okay, between -1 to 1, so we cannot exactly predict the value of this term. So however, the multiplication of these two will result into 0. Okay, so that's why the uh, the overall Fourier transform of this signal is nothing but 1 over a plus j omega. Okay, so that is how we can evaluate the Fourier transform of any signal that is given to us. So now moving to the next part, that is we have to evaluate the magnitude and phase spectra. So corresponding to this, we can calculate the magnitude, which is nothing but mod of x of omega. So once you evaluate, you will get it as 1 over 1 plus, sorry, a square plus omega square, whereas the phase we can evaluate as, okay, 1 over, yeah, this is nothing but minus tan inverse omega over a. Okay, so that is how you can calculate the magnitude and phase of this Fourier transform that we have evaluated. Okay, so once you know the magnitude and phase corresponding to this Fourier transform, so now what you have to do, you have to vary the omega from minus infinity to infinity. So now you have to vary the omega from minus infinity to infinity. Oh, sorry, this is not equal. Okay, and now you have to check that what will be the value of magnitude and phase that you have to plot basically, so as to check the magnitude and phase spectra. Okay, so I have already calculated this magnitude and phase for different values of omega. So like here you can see that for different values of omega I have calculated the value of magnitude and phase. Okay, so once you calculate and you plot this magnitude and phase spectra, you will get the magnitude and phase spectra like this. Okay, so magnitude will be varying like this, like bell shape. Okay, and phase phase is nothing but progressively decaying. Okay, it is decaying in nature. Okay, so that is how you can evaluate the, or say check the magnitude and phase spectra of any Fourier transform. So now moving ahead, so here is the next problem. So in this problem we have to basically evaluate the Fourier transform corresponding to this rectangular function that is given to us. Okay, so f of t is equals to rect t by tau. This function is given to us, uh, which is which is a rectangular function, and varying from start from minus t by tau by 2 and uh, to tau by 2. Okay, it is varying from minus tau by 2 to tau by 2. Okay, so we have to basically determine the Fourier transform corresponding to this function. So as we know that x of omega is represented as minus infinity to infinity x of t into e raised to the power minus j omega t dot dt. Okay, so now we put the value of xt, or say ft, let us say, because in the question it is given f of t. Okay, so you have to put the value of ft. Just a moment. Yeah, sorry for the interruption. Okay, so now you have to put the value of ft here. Okay, so this will be equals to minus tau by 2 to tau by 2, and the value of ft is 1 here, into e raised to the power minus j omega t dot dt. So now you can evaluate the integral e raised to the power minus j omega t over minus j omega, and now put the limit of integration from minus tau by 2 to tau by 2. So this will be equals to minus 1 over j omega e raised to the power minus j omega tau by 2 minus e raised to the power j omega tau by 2. Okay, yeah. So this you can also write it as 1 over j omega e raised to the power j omega tau by 2 minus e raised to the power minus j omega tau by 2. So now you can as you know that sine of omega tau is represented as, or say tau by 2 is equals to e raised to the power j omega tau by 2 minus e raised to the power minus j omega tau by 2 by 2j. Okay, so you can replace this term from here, okay, as e raised to the power j omega tau by 2 minus e raised to the power minus j omega tau by 2 is equals to 2j sine of omega tau by 2. Okay, so you can write this as 1 over j omega into 2j sine of omega tau by 2. So this j term will cancel and you will get 2 by omega sine of omega tau by 2. So now what you can do, you can multiply this tau by both numerator and denominator. So you can represent this signal as tau into sinc omega tau by 2 pi. Okay, because as we know that sinc of x is equal to sine of pi x over pi x. Okay, so that is how you can write, you can use this expression and you can check this. Okay, so this shows that corresponding to this rectangular function, okay, the corresponding frequency domain representation is nothing but sinc function. Okay, and this will be equals to 2 pi by tau minus 2 pi by tau, and this will be 4 pi by tau and so on. Okay, so that is how, so this basically represents if suppose you are applying a time domain signal. Okay, so in frequency domain signal corresponding to this rectangular signal which is in time domain, you will get sync, okay, sync type of signal at in the frequency domain. Okay, so that is how you can analyze in both time domain as well as frequency domain. Okay, so I hope this problem will be clear to you. So moving ahead, so here in this problem basically uh, in this problem basically we have to find the uh, inverse problem basically. Okay, so here g of omega is given to us which is equals to 2 pi delta of omega. So this is basically given to us. So now we have to determine the corresponding time domain signal. Okay, so evaluate this time domain signal. What we have to do, we have to use this inverse Fourier transform, okay, relation, that is minus 1 over 2 pi integral minus infinite to infinite, uh, yeah, this will be equals to x of omega e raised to the power j omega t into d omega. Okay, so by using this relation we can determine the corresponding time domain representation. So now put the value of sorry, this will be g omega. So now put the value of g omega here, you will get 1 over 2 pi integral minus infinite to infinite 2 pi delta of omega into e raised to the power j omega t into d omega. So this 2 pi and 2 pi will cancel from both numerator and denominator, and you will get this integral as minus infinite to infinite delta of omega e raised to the power j omega t dot d omega. So now as we know that this delta function delta of omega, so if you plot this delta of omega with respect to omega, so you can see that this delta of omega is basically defined only for omega is equals to 0. Okay, okay, so you can put the omega as 0 here. Okay, so if you put omega as 0 here in this uh, function e raised to the power j omega at omega is equals to 0. Okay, so you will get 1. It means that if you are considering an impulse in the frequency domain, so the corresponding time domain signal is 1. Okay, is a dc signal basically. So the corresponding gt is plotted here, which is a dc signal here with respect to time. Okay, so that's how you can determine uh, the inverse problem as well. So if a signal in frequency domain is given to us, so by using this method, this relation, basically we can easily evaluate the corresponding time domain signal. So I hope this problem is clear to you. So now moving ahead, so here are the some of the properties of the Fourier transform. Okay, so this property basically we will use so as to solve the numericals, okay, that we will see in the upcoming lectures. Okay, so here so today we will just see this property. Okay, so the first property is the linearity property. So if suppose you have a signal which is a linear combination of two signal which is given to us, that is a1 x1t plus a2 x2t. So the corresponding uh, frequency domain or say Fourier transform is nothing but the Fourier transform of linear combination of these two signal individually. Okay, which is equals to a1 x1 tau a1 x1 omega plus a2 x2 omega. Okay, so the next property is the scaling property. So if a signal x of t, okay, corresponding to this x of t, let us assume that x of omega is given to us. Okay, so now in the scaling property we are just scaling the time scale. Okay, means we are scaling the time axis, so the corresponding change in the frequency axis is or the corresponding change in the Fourier transform is equal to 1 over mod of a x of omega by a. Okay, it means that if you expand the time domain axis or say time axis in the time domain representation, so you will compress the corresponding frequency domain. Okay, so if suppose a is positive here, a is greater than 1, let us suppose. Okay, so you are basically expanding here the time axis, and once you visualize this in frequency domain, you will see that the corresponding compression is observed at the frequency domain. Okay, so this is the scaling property. Now the time shifting property is, if you have this signal x of t minus t naught, so the corresponding Fourier transform is given as e raised to the power minus j omega t naught into x of omega. It means the factor by which you are shifting the uh, time. Okay, so in frequency domain, it will be multiplied by a factor that is e raised to the power minus j omega t naught. Similarly, the frequency shifting property states that e raised to the power j omega naught t into x of t. So the it means that if you are multiplying this x of t by a factor e raised to the power j omega naught t, then the corresponding shift is observed in the frequency. So the Fourier transform of this signal is equals to x of omega minus omega naught. Okay. Similarly the differentiation property, you can see that if you are differentiating this signal x of t uh, by an order of n, then if you will observe a factor is multiplied in the corresponding frequency transform, which is equal to j omega raised to the power n. Okay. Similarly, in case of time integration, if you are integrating this signal, okay, from minus infinite to t, so you will observe x of omega by j omega, okay, plus pi x of 0 delta of omega, provided that this integral exists. Okay. And if this condition is not satisfying, then we cannot use this relation. Okay. Similarly, frequency differentiation property says that if you are multiplying the x of t with the another function, that is t raised to the power n, then corresponding differentiation is observed with the same order at the frequency side. Okay. So duality property is one of the most important property in the Fourier transform. So in case of duality property, if suppose x of corresponding to x of t, you know that what will be the value of x of omega. Okay. So if uh, you have to see that you have to evaluate capital X of t, let me write it correctly, x of t. Okay. So to evaluate this, what we have to do, we have to basically change the order, change the parameter, let me write it here, 2 pi into x of minus omega. So here you have to change the parameter t as minus omega and multiply it the factor 2 pi. Okay. Similarly, uh, if you are providing convolution of two different signal in the time domain, then the corresponding multiplication of the uh, Fourier transform of the individual signal is observed in the frequency domain. Okay. And if you are basically multiplying these two signal in the time domain, then the corresponding uh, convolution is observed in the frequency domain. Okay. So here is the one of the most important property of the Fourier transform, that is Parseval relationship, so as to obtain the energy that is contained in a signal. Okay. So this property states that if a signal x of t is given to us, so if you have to evaluate the energy that is contained in the signal, that is minus infinite to infinite mod of x of t square dot dt. So what you have to do, you have to basically use this relation if you know already the Fourier transform or the frequency spectra of the signal. Okay. You can use this relation if you already know the spectra of the signal, so as to evaluate the energy contained in the signal x of t. Okay. So uh, in the next class we will see that how to utilize all these properties so as to solve the numericals. Okay. So this was the last slide. So thank you.